We'll start the melee phase of the 11:40 turn for the coalition side. As usual, we'll start down in the south. We have that cavalry that charged, and now they're ready to melee. Nothing for it but to get to it. You have two rather beat up battalions of French here, each of them with 2 increment losses. So 1/3 of 8 and 1/3 of 7. And disorder to boot. Makes for a very, very weak defense. They are charged by this cavalry regiment. 6/8 of 24. And they did charge in a line, so they get to double, but we're going to try to preserve their readiness. So they will end up charging at a 4.5, or meleeing at 4.5 to 1 odds. Not very great numbers. The 21, which is a disorder, which is the stack has to retreat, losing an increment. So that will eliminate the top battalion there. And they will rout the heck out of there. And the cavalry will occupy the hex in an exhausted state, and they will mark them to make sure they don't recover. And that is our one and only melee in the south. We're going to move up the line here to resolve some more. So here in the north, just on the southern tip of Bagration's crumbling line, we had Uvarov maneuver his regiments to try to strike the French and push back a little bit. So we have, they didn't charge, they just maneuvered. So we have Doe and I preserved readiness on that last melee, so I should have not marked those guys exhausted. They are merely tired. So we have a large regiment against a relatively small one. And it's going to be about 2 to 1, I think. Maybe 2.5. No charges involved, so yeah, it's 2.5. And we roll a 31, which on 2.5 to 1 works out to inflicting 3 casualties and absorbing 2. So say goodbye to the French dragoons. They are wiped out. And the Russian dragoons take 2 casualties in advance. They are merely tired. See 2 assaults here against infantry. We have Uvarov himself leading this melee of a large regiment. Striking this infantry battalion here. So we're going to elect to preserve readiness for Uvarov's troopers here. And that will give us a 3-to-1 attack. Uvarov is a +3 modifier. That results in a 45 and a defender disorder. So they will take a loss and retreat. And the troopers will occupy that spot but not lose readiness because they preserved readiness, only sent in a couple of squadrons. I'll repeat the same here with this large Lancer regiment. 17/19 of 60. And similarly, we're going to preserve readiness just because they're so large. And they're going against a relatively small battalion here. Oh no, it's a large battalion. Oops, well, they've already made their choice. 6/8 of 19. That's not too bad. It's 2.5 to 1. Now the Lancers are not in line. And the French leader gives a -1 modifier. Ooh. We roll a 65. Which, in conjunction with the leader loss table, yields a capture result. So the infantry is disordered and the leader is captured. Compounds. They now have 3 increment losses and they must retreat. They retreated through that light infantry battalion, so they will have to check morale. That is a bad roll. It's a 16. I'm pretty sure those guys are not elite. They are not, so they also disorder. So that is a very strong outcome for those 3 melees. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't make a bit of difference because the entire coalition north has collapsed, but make the French pay some prices here. One of our last attacks, we'll see actually 2 cavalry skirmishes. Cossacks are not allowed to engage infantry, but no problem with cavalry. And then we have a very large Hussar regiment attacking much smaller. Chasseurs. So they're solely in the rear, and they're going to preserve readiness. That would give them a 2-to-1 attack, so we're going to go ahead and give them everything we got. That's a 5-to-1. Yikes, what a terrible rule. 5-to-1, we roll a 14. So cavalry on cavalry. Disorder is merely a retreat and a morale check. We'll retreat them out of the way. The Russians advance but are fatigued. The morale check is a 21. They're at 26, so they rout. There's a decent outcome. And our last, but not least, assault as these hapless Cossacks, not charging, merely meleeing against another French chasseur. So they are 16. And they, what was their lance bonus? Because they are in line. 4. They manage a 2-to-1 assault. Boy, another terrible roll. 2-to-1. Very low roll, so everybody retreats. And no more will be said about that, except they're each fatigued. And that will do it for our melees for this 11:40 turn. We will rally a rout, recover, and then recap.